Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miscellaneous Gab, and today we're talking about why Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince is, without a doubt, the worst Harry Potter film in the franchise. You can just go ahead and fight me in the comments right now if you don't agree. If you are neutral or if you might agree, I hope that by the end of this video, I convince you as to why this movie in particular outshines the others in the franchise as the worst, especially compared to the books, which is quite unfortunate because my favorite book is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, or Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is both a movie review as well as a book and movie comparison. If you are a non-book reader and you're not so sure about the movies, you might not understand why us book readers have such a visceral reaction of hatred to this film. But like I said, by the end, I'm hoping to convince you. I'm going to start by just giving some overall what the movie did not include from the book or what was really lacking in the movie. Then we're gonna have a little bit of fun and make fun of some clips and parts of the movie together. Make sure you like this video, comment below, and subscribe to my channel as it helps me a lot. And I genuinely want to know that if you disagree with me on the worst Harry Potter movie, please tell me below what you think it is. And I'm guessing if it's not this one, it's The Goblet of Fire. Okay, so let's take a zoomed out perspective for a second and understand a bit of the journey of the Harry Potter adventure series franchise, right? We have book 1 and 2, movie 1 and 2, which are kind of an appetizer, if you will, about what's to come. Harry Potter 3 kind of serves as that bridge into what is to come, how dark the world is supposed to get. And then pretty much from Harry Potter 4, 5, 6, and 7, you have darkness, you have mature themes. It gets a bit more intense as the journey goes. Let's just take a look at what Warner Brothers and the Harry Potter films decided to do. So we have, like I said, Harry Potter 1, 2, and 3 are rated PG. Harry Potter 4, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, is rated PG-13. This might make sense to you, right? A kid dies, Voldemort comes back, Wormtail is up to some shit, Mad-Eye Moody is creepy, things are going on. Then you have Harry Potter 5, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, also PG-13. Also fair. People are dying. Darkness is happening. Then, for whatever reason, you have Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and they decided to make it PG. Why? I don't know if it's because they wanted to bring in more money in the box office, if their viewership dropped off. I'm not sure. The decision to make this film PG rather than PG-13 was the first red flag that it was going to sacrifice some of those dark and mature themes. The sixth book is one of the darkest and most mature books out of the entire series, with the exception of probably the seventh. Why? Kids are horny, adults are going crazy, Voldemort is doing his thing, Sirius is dead, Cedric is dead, shit is hitting the fan. So unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with before the movie even begins. I want to ask a general question, something that baffles me. What happened to the wizard robes? Why, in a world that is supposed to be so different from the Muggle world, do the kids of Harry Potter start dressing in hoodies, plaid shirts, denim, whatever the mark of 2006 to 2011 was, whatever the height of those fashion trends were, we see that in the film. That automatically dates the film. It sticks it in a certain time that has passed. If these guys were just wearing what they were supposed to be wearing, which is black robes, ties, wizard hats, imagine how much more magical this world would have felt. I would also like to speak in general with the costume department. Why? In a world where you could just have everyone wear the same thing and keep it simple, really probably keep the costume budget down. Why did you start wearing Muggle clothes? Why did they start wearing Muggle clothes? I need answers. I need someone to answer that for me, like now. Let's get into not only did they leave stuff out. So this is the not only did they leave stuff out portion, and then the second portion is going to be but they added random shit in portion. Okay, so the biggest issue in terms of like what was left out and what was sacrificed with this film is every movie has an A plot and a B plot, right? Where the A line is kind of the main storyline. Normally that has the biggest arc, the biggest climax, it has the biggest ramp up, and the stakes are the highest, correct? And normally there is a B plot or a C plot where maybe the stakes are lower, but it still follows a little bit of an arc. There's some exposition, there's a climax, there's some resolution, and there's an end. The A plot is Voldemort is back, and in order to defeat him, Harry Potter must dive back into Voldemort's past with Albus Dumbledore to figure out who is this man, what makes him tick, where did he come from, why is he so batshit crazy and wants to kill everyone. Plot B is There are teenagers, they are 16 years old. They're starting to feel some things, right? They're starting to have urges. Their hormones are starting to really flare up. They're going through puberty. They want to get close to each other. Girls no longer have cooties. So there are these love plots, there are these love affairs going on, there are these love triangles throughout the sixth book. The biggest crime against humanity that Warner Brothers did when it made this film is they flipped the A plot and the B plot. So when you watch Harry Potter 6, you primarily get a teen romance drama with some dark undertones of Voldemort and some flashbacks. However, that A plot are the love affairs, horny lines, the cheesiness, the snogging. While that is great and while that might be a better movie somewhere else, it's not Harry Potter. And it's very offensive to the source material to do something like that, right? Because Harry Potter is dark. It's all about why Harry, and even by extension Ron and Hermione, can't live normal lives until Voldemort is vanquished, if ever, because obviously they'd be dealing with so much trauma that they probably would never be able to live a normal life ever, ever, ever. Let's do a quick little roundup of what the movie leaves out. So the movie leaves out Harry grieving for Sirius. I think in general, the books and the movie just don't do a very good job. Movies in general don't do a very good job of when someone loses someone. I think grief is a very hard emotion to portray and act, and it's also not fun to watch. There's just a very big lack of like, hey, Sirius Black died, and Sirius was the only family Harry ever consciously had. There's a big hole in his heart, and even though the books doesn't get that into it, it still adds to Harry's character building. But no, instead of the empty hole, the depression that's in Harry's life, we just see him flirting with a muggle waitress at a cafe in the middle of the night. Pretty much the movies 4, 5, and 6 is just Dumbledore. He sucks, right? Dumbledore sucks. That's great. Dumbledore is like a very whimsical, kind of goofy man, and even though that is part of Dumbledore's characterization in the books, I think the movie just way overdid it. In Harry Potter 6 is where we actually see Dumbledore the most serious and the most kind of focused, all hands on deck, like, Harry, we have to do this shit because we are running out of time, because Dumbledore, spoiler alert, is literally dying. His days are numbered, whether Draco gets him, whether the ring scurvy, whatever he has going on, cursed finger gets him, whether Snape gets him, his days are numbered. They have limited time, and Dumbledore already like doesn't speak in clear, like he doesn't just sit Harry down and be like, Harry, here's what the fuck is up, here's what you have to do, here's how you have to defeat Voldemort. Biggest issue that the movie left out is the lack of the crucial flashbacks. So this is all about sacrificing that A plot line for the B plot line, for making it more of a teen romance drama rather than a fascinating deep dive into Voldemort, into the greatest dark wizard of all time, into seeing who he is and where he came from and what makes him tick. How did Voldemort become Voldemort? This is such a fascinating G move of J.K. Rowling. How many good versus evil books go into the actual bad guy's origin story through the lens of the good guy? And there are moments when they're going back in time when Harry's watching Voldemort actually feeling bad for a young Tom Riddle. He's empathizing, and we didn't get any of that. We didn't get to see them go back and meet the Gaunts. We didn't really get to see all that much of the orphanage. We didn't get to see the times of Voldemort at school when he literally murders an old lady for her treasures, comes and asks for the Defense Against the Dark Art position and curses it. There's so much that we didn't see. Let's talk about what we do see. A fever dream flashback with a young, weird, moody Tom Riddle, and it looks very much like those old iMovie filters. Being in the pensive is actually like being in the scene. That's part of why they use the pensive to go back in time. There's a very lack of classes and kind of what they're learning about. We get farther and farther away from the magic. Why is Horace Slughorn wearing a graduation cap instead of a wizard's hat? Why is he wearing a graduation cap? Who made this decision? Who did this? It's quirky, but it's not fun. It's not cute. The Malfoy obsession was a bit also tuned down. In the books, Harry's like obsessed with Draco Malfoy, which leads me to the other point that he actually enlists the help of Kreacher and Dobby to find Malfoy and to figure out what Malfoy is doing. Harry is so obsessed with it. He's so obsessed that he's even thinking about missing Quidditch games. There are two other things that I must discuss. One is that there was no Battle of Hogwarts and no breach of Hogwarts. This is just probably one of the dumbest things that they could have done, which renders half of the movie not important. The whole reason that Harry is obsessed with Malfoy is because he knows Malfoy is up to something. He knows Malfoy is repairing something, fixing something. He knows halfway through the book that Malfoy is going into the room of requirement, but he doesn't know why. And And the big reveal is that Malfoy is fixing up the Vanishing Cabinet to bring Death Eaters into Hogwarts to attack, overthrow, and take over the school. And that is kind of the ultimate gangster move. Everyone knows you can't apparate or disapparate inside Hogwarts, so the plan is actually genius. Dumbledore in the books and movies gives Malfoy big credit because it's pretty smart. However, if there's no Battle of Hogwarts, why did he need to fix the Vanishing Cabinet in the movie in the first place? He brings over Bella and a couple other Death Eaters to just cheer him on as he's supposed to kill Dumbledore, even though he knows that Snape has his back because Snape made the unbreakable vow that if Draco couldn't kill Dumbledore, that Snape would kill Dumbledore. What is the point? What is the point of fixing up the Vanishing Cabinet if the Death Eaters are gonna just prance in, watch you kill Dumbledore, and fucking leave? Why? Let me just tell you, there is one very stupid scene in this movie that I haven't got to, and the reason why they added this scene and took out other things is because they wanted to put more action in the movie. Why didn't you have the Battle of Hogwarts if you wanted more action in the movie? Why did you burn down the Weasley's house in the middle of the movie, which did not happen in the book? Burn it down just for fun, just so Harry could run into the woods, just so Jenny could run after him, and then their house burns down, and then everything is fine, and they never talk about it again. How do they know where the Weasleys live? If they know where the Weasleys are and Harry's there, why didn't Voldemort come? What was the point? I have so many questions. I will never forgive them. So just remember, they added that in because they needed more action. I'm gonna get into this as we make fun of some clips here in a moment. The Snape Half-Blood Prince climax, a huge climax, huge. My jaw was on the floor. I had to pick it up. I could not believe that Snape was the Half-Blood Prince and that this entire movie is important setup, exposition for Snape's ultimate sacrifice. They did him so dirty in the movie. They did the Half-Blood Prince so dirty. But that whole climax, they had the opportunity to have Snape more involved and give more exposition and talk more about him. They had the ability to set that up so beautifully. In part 2, I am going to look through some clips. We're gonna do a little watch along and we're gonna talk about it. First things first, why is this movie so brown and yellow and dark? I don't understand. So we begin with this film and the muggles are kind of what's going on? Things are happening. Darkness is in the air. Things are bad. So again, it's very yellow. Why is this movie so dark? Why is this movie so yellow? We're seeing the dark mark. I didn't know that Death Eaters could just zip around in little balls of smoke. I didn't know that, but this clip clearly shows that they're wreaking havoc. The first chapter of the book, which is similar to what's going on here, is actually called The Other Minister. It is where the disgraced Cornelius Fudge goes and speaks to the current Muggle Prime Minister, which we didn't know before this book, but that is something that happens every time there's a new Muggle Prime Minister. How cool for us fans of the Potter universe for that little piece of world building. When this is all happening, this is all a conversation that Cornelius Fudge is having with the Muggle Prime Minister, and it's fascinating. So if you want to show the action, I understand that you don't just want a beginning scene with two people talking, but why not have Cornelius Fudge, the Muggle Prime Minister, having that conversation and then playing this out? How cool would that be? This is playing out as in parallel what is going on so that we can really see the horror on the Muggle Prime Minister's face being I just inherited all these terrible things and I have no control over this. I can't save people. People are dying in my universe too. So I just think that would have been a way better way to start the film. So then we see Harry at a diner and he's reading a Muggle newspaper, which is a bad look, Harry, in the middle of the diner and flirting with a waitress. And I get it. This is kind of the prequel that Harry's having urges that, they're 16. In the book, you actually get to see Dumbledore come to the Dursleys and kind of school the Dursleys a bit, which is very gratifying to see. The movie sacrifices just cheap lines oh, I bet you could tell me about that guy Harry Potter when I get off at 11, instead of those really fascinating characters, interpersonal dynamics, and weird quirks of the wizarding world. Harry's flirting with this waitress. He goes and visits Slughorn with Dumbledore, and then he's at the burrow flirting with Jenny. As soon as he gets to the burrow, you kind of know that what's going to happen. You have this scene where he has this weird embrace with Ginny. And then Ron and Hermione come down and Ron looks at Hermione and says,
"Got a bit of toothpaste."
You know, you got a little toothpaste there, and it's weird, it's awkward, and we just kind of know what's going on. So imagine the last time you saw your best friend, he watched his godfather get murdered. So then we have Bellatrix and Narcissa, and they are going to visit Snape.
Run along, one toe.
Okay, can I just pause this really quick and say Narcissa Malfoy is kind of a slay. Actually, the whole Malfoy family is, they kind of ate this. When I was a kid and I would watch the Harry Potter movies with my mom, she used to say, oh, you know, that dad is really handsome. That Lucius Malfoy is really handsome. And I was like, ooh, gross, he's old, but I get it. The Malfoys slay. So they have this whole conversation, right? They do the unbreakable vow. This is the same as chapter 2 in the books, which is called Spinner's End. It's an entire chapter dedicated to Bella and Narcissa going and visiting Snape. However, you have to remember Bellatrix and Lucius were like Death Eater numero uno before the disaster at the Ministry of Magic in the previous book and movie. Now Snape has really elevated to Voldemort's like right-hand man. The Death Eaters have really bad daddy issues, and they are very jealous of one another about who is in Voldemort's good graces over the other. Bellatrix hates Snape. She hates him. She does not trust him. She thinks he's a rat. She thinks he is not loyal. She thinks that she suffered in Azkaban all those years just for Snape to like live large in Hogwarts Castle. So in the book, she grills Snape. She grills him. She asks him all the questions that you might have about how can Snape be on Voldemort's side and also fool Dumbledore. Either way, he's fooling one of the best wizards, and Voldemort is one of the most accomplished Legilimens the world has ever seen. So she grills him and asks him all these questions, and he has these amazing answers that make sense. So she's asking what's on everyone's mind is, how have you been able to live this double life all these years? Why haven't you killed Harry Potter? Why does Dumbledore like you? Why does Dumbledore trust you? Why couldn't they include that? It would have taken 2 minutes in this exact same scene, and who doesn't want more Alan Rickman? Right? But this is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This is Snape's story too. We need that background on Snape to make that reveal better. His sacrifice, everything he's done being a double agent for years. If you haven't read the book, I think that back and forth dialogue is one of the most fascinating and well done things. Really quick, I just want to point out another thing. So we're on the train and Draco's coming back here. Okay. So Draco's wearing this kind of just this moody outfit. Okay, so Harry does Peruvian instant darkness powder to kind of spy on them, which I'm going to tell you why that's ridiculous in a second. In the books, he puts on his invisibility cloak and goes in their compartment. Remember that.
Relax, boys. It's probably just the first year messing around. Come on, Draco. Sit down. We'll be at Hogwarts soon.
Relax, boys. It's probably just the first year messing around. Come on, Draco. Sit down. We'll be at Hogwarts soon. That was her like 3 lines and she failed. The acting is terrible. So he goes back and sits in an open compartment. Okay, it's an open compartment. Is that Neville? Is that Neville Longbottom? Why would Harry Potter have to sneak into an open compartment to overhear what Draco is saying? And then Harry returns to his closed compartment. Let's talk about Slughorn for a second.
Well, be sure to give them both my best.
Okay, but can we talk about what they're eating? Are these are these ice cream sundaes? I can't tell because this movie is so brown and yellow all the time, but these look like so amazing and I want one right now. And then we go into Riddle, Flashback, Pensive. We have talked about this. Why does Tom Riddle look like this? Remember this? Remember this Tom Riddle? I know they can't get the same actor, but do you remember? Do you remember him? Do you remember what he looks like? Slay. He looks good. Looks real good. Voldemort was supposed to be a charming, handsome, charismatic young man. This? Yes. The other guy, no. Tommy Riddle, he kind of ate in Harry Potter too. Okay, and then the last part I want to go over that the movie completely miffed is, all right, so we have Harry Potter. He gets in trouble for basically almost murdering Draco Malfoy, which again is a very dark and scary thing that happened in the book. And then Jenny's like, you need to get rid of that book, okay? We're going to go get rid of it.
See?
Okay.
You never know what you'll...
I'm so turned on. Are you feeling it? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? I feel like they could not have picked two characters that have less chemistry. And it's sad because Ginny in the books is supposed to be this like badass, sassy queen who is tougher than all the boys. She's a great Quidditch player. She's got a wicked, sassy mouth. All the boys love her. This is just, it's not it. It's not it. It's not only is this a painfully awkward scene, but it also does a disservice to my boy Snape, to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So in the book, Harry almost kills Draco Malfoy with the Sectum Sempra, which is a HBP original. So of course Snape sees it and recognizes it and is like, where the fuck did you learn that? And Snape instantly says, go get your book bag. I want to see your book bag right now. Go get your book bag. Harry goes, and Harry is freaking out, right? This is one of the lowest, the darkest, the scariest point. Runs and he gets his book and he's like freaking out and freaking out and freaking out. And he goes and runs past the room of requirement. He's, I need a place to hide my book. I need a place to hide my book. Lo and behold, he actually goes into the room where Draco Malfoy is actually fixing up the vanishing cupboard, which is very ironic because that's where Harry's been wanting to get into the whole time, but we don't know that yet. He hides the book. I think he takes Ron's book, right? He takes Ron's book and puts that copy of Advanced Potion Making in his bag. However, Ron actually has a spell check quill that he bought from Fred and George's joke shop that no longer works. So it's been writing his name as Runil Waslib instead of Ronald Weasley. Harry gives that book to Snape. Snape opens it and looks at it. Well, this book belongs to Runil Waslib. And Harry's like, oh, that's my nickname. And it's just like really awkward. And you know Snape knows, and Harry kind of knows that Snape knows. And this is kind of a hint because of how Snape reacts that Snape is the Half-Blood Prince. It's a bit of foreshadowing. So we get to see his visceral reaction. Not only was a student from his house like literally almost murked right then and there in the bathroom, but that Snape has never seen anyone else use that curse before. Why do they have Ginny go do that? They could have literally just kept this. Again, if they weren't sacrificing, if they weren't trying to push the teen love drama, the PG weird Hallmark movie on us, they could have had Snape be the one to demand that Harry go and bring him his books. Harry runs, hides the book, goes. It's very scary. Imagine you just like sliced up your classmate. It's very scary. It's not the time for a kiss. And that also leads up to Harry getting detention for the rest of the year. He almost gets expelled. Okay, so let's end on a good note. I like to end on good notes. I would give Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince credit for the Felix Felicis scene.
The eyes, I reckon, they unnerve some folk.
Not to mention the pincers.
It looked good. I think it was funny. Harry Potter doing like the pincers thing, that was quite funny. It showed a little bit more range of Daniel Radcliffe's acting because he was able to be under the influence, and that was something totally different. So bravo to him. Great job. That's pretty much it. Let me know if I've convinced you. Comment below. If I haven't convinced you, give me your best argument. I'm thinking about doing a movie about best and worst Harry Potter casting choices, or if you prefer the Hunger Games videos, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It helps me out so much. I love making these videos. I love chatting with you all. Every comment, it means the world to me. Thanks for taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane. I hope it's inspired you to at least go back and read the book again, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you, and have the most amazing day.